Hello students, today we are going to discuss top 99 MCQ for science. This is for CBSE grade 9. Let's begin. After the exam, does it happen with you like all your friends are discussing MCQ, their answers are matching and somehow you get like different answer? So not only it uh, dampens your spirit, you lose your confidence. So I want you to think MCQ not just as 1 point marks, but they actually help you increase or decrease your confidence for subsequent question papers. So let's begin. What is the physical state of water at room temperature? Well, if you consider this as a temperature scale, let us assume these 2 points, 0 degrees Celsius and 100 degrees Celsius. Below 0 degrees Celsius, it's solid for water. Between 0 and 100, it is liquid, and after 100 degrees Celsius, that will be vapor. Now, the corresponding physical states will be referred as ice, water and steam. Since room temperature is typically at 25 degrees Celsius, the physical state of water at room temperature, which is around 25 degrees Celsius, will be liquid, and that will be your final answer, option B. Second question, which of the following has the highest kinetic energy? Kinetic energy depends upon the motion of molecules. Higher the temperature, the molecules will have higher thermal energy and hence higher kinetic energy. That's one factor. And second factor is the phase of the molecules. If solids are considered, then solids are more disciplined, more bound with each other. Their intermolecular forces of attractions will be higher. So solids will have lesser thermal energy or lesser kinetic energy. Uh, Liquids will have slightly more and gases will have the most. So it depends upon the two things. Number one, the temperature, and second is the phase. Now, so the temperature should be highest, so that's why I have selected 100 degrees Celsius. Now, water and steam, because this is steam which is vapor. In vapor, the intermolecular forces of attraction are the least. The molecules are free to move anywhere, and that's why it will have the highest kinetic energy. A heterogeneous mixture. A heterogeneous means it's not homogeneous. The phases are distinct, in which the solute particles, the things which are solved, do not dissolve and remain suspended throughout the solvent. Let's see what are the possible scenarios. True solution, where the particle size is less than 10 raised to minus 7 centimeter. Colloidal solution is kind of intermediate. The particle size is between 10 raised to minus 7 and 10 raised to minus 5 centimeter. And suspension, on the other hand, where the particle size will be greater than 10 raised to minus 7. So here they can be seen with the naked eye. That means their particle size is very stronger. The particle size is larger. That's why we have to select suspension is the correct answer, option A. Which of the following is not correct regarding gases? Gases exert pressure. Let's see each option individually. Gases exert pressure. Yes, they continuously bombard with the walls of the container, and that is the primary reason why they exert pressure. So this is technically true. Gases do have pressure. Then second, gases have large intermolecular spaces. Yes, their intermolecular forces of attraction is the weakest, and they are free to travel anywhere. So their intermolecular spaces are very high. Solids the least, liquids medium, and gases the most. Gases have weak tendency to diffuse. This is not true. In fact, the opposite is true. Whenever two gases are mixed with each other, irrespective of their chemical properties, they actually do diffuse between them. Intermediate diffusion takes place. So this is false. And the last one, gases have weak intermolecular forces of attraction. Yes, that's true. So the correct option is option C. Let's go to question number 5. The boiling point of water at sea level. That's actually 100 degrees Celsius, but they are trying to confuse you with the help of units. Remember, 0 degrees Celsius is 273 degree, well, you don't have to say degree, 273 Kelvin. So 100 degrees Celsius is 100 plus 273, that's 373 Kelvin. So any of these two options are correct. You can write 100 degrees Celsius or 373 Kelvin. Let's go to chapter 2, question number 6. Which of the following best describes the liquid state of matter? Solids, they have definite shape and definite volume. Liquids, no definite shape. They take the shape of the container, but they do have definite volume. And gases, they don't have definite shape and they don't have definite volume. They simply expand till they occupy the available space. So the correct option will be it has no definite shape but definite volume, because they have asked us for liquid state of matter. Let's go to the next question. Which of the following is a homogeneous mixture? Homogeneous mixture where the phases are kinda very hard to difficult to distinguish, and at the same time they are hard to separate, as opposed to that suspension will be a heterogeneous mixture where we can physically actually see with visual inspection the two separate phases. So salt water will be homogeneous mixture. Sand and iron fillings, heterogeneous mixture, because we can see that upon closer inspection. Oil and water is actually emulsion. Milk and water is colloidal solution. So the correct option is salt water. A solution that cannot dissolve any more solute at a given temperature. Cannot dissolve any more solute. That means it has dissolved each and every possibility of the solute mixture. It has gone to the uppermost limit, and that's why it will be called saturated, because it cannot go anything beyond that. The process of conversion of solid directly into gas. Well, we'll see different phases. Let's say solid, liquids and gases. These are the three phases of matter. Let's see the terminology, and we have to be very clear because they can ask this question in either way. When you go from solid to liquid, this is called melting. When you go from liquid to gas, this is called boiling. When you go from gas to liquid, it is called condensation, which happens in a condenser in a typical power plant. When you have generation of electricity, the same water is circulated, and from vapor to liquid it has to be done so that minimum water is used. And from liquid to solid, it is called freezing. Now the question here is slightly different. What will happen if you bypass the liquid state and directly go from solid to gas? So that will be called sublimation. So that is the correct answer. Which of the following methods can be used to separate the components of a mixture of salt and water? Remember, salt and water will form homogeneous solution because salt actually dissolves completely in water. Filtration, not exactly good, because it requires solids of different sizes. Remember, here the salt is completely dissolved, so technically this particle size is very negligible. Distillation takes advantage. We can have fractional distillation. For example, in case of crude oil, the various components can be separated using fractional distillation because each component has different boiling point. Evaporation removes a liquid from solution to leave a solid. And chromatography involves solvent separation on a solid medium. This is completely different. So the correct option is evaporation, because evaporation will get rid of water and leaving only solid material, which is salt. Which of the following is a chemical change? Now, change can be defined as or separated as physical change, or second one is chemical change. Physical change happens with the physical changes in properties such as phase or temperature or color, density. As opposed to that, chemical change means chemical composition will change. There will be a chemical reaction, and the reactants and products will be completely different substances. In physical change, there will be same substance, only the physical properties or phase will change. So freezing water to form an ice, physical change, water is still remaining water, only the phase change is taking place. Cutting a piece of wood in smaller, wood is still remaining wood, only the physical property called size will be changing. Digesting food in the stomach, yeah, that sounds a good option because actually some chemical reactions will take place in our stomach that will convert the food into some other totally substances with the help of enzymes and all those things. Melting chocolate to form a liquid, again, it's just a physical change. So the correct option will be option C. In a process where liquid is rapidly rotated, denser particles settle. Well, rapidly rotated actually gives you the clue because if something is rapidly rotated, the centrifugal forces will be so strong that will cause separation, and this will be the correct option will be centrifugation. Let's go to question 13. Which of the following are metalloids? Now, we have metals and non-metals. Let's see the chemical, let's see the explanation. Metalloids are elements which are neither metals nor non-metals. They are kind of in between them. And I'm going to explain this with the help of periodic table. So we know that, if you recall, on the left hand side, we have metals. For example, we have sodium, magnesium, calcium, potassium, aluminum. They are towards the left side of the periodic table. On the right hand side of the periodic table, we have either noble gases or we have non-metals. And what will happen in between? In between, we will have metalloids, which will be in between metals and non-metals. And whatever is this color we have boron, silicon, germanium, and so on. So these are actually metalloids. They are in between. In fact, silicon and germanium are metalloids extensively used for semiconductor industry. If you are taking electronics, most of the times you will be dealing with silicon and germanium. Boron is another example. So the correct option will be boron, silicon, and germanium. Carbon is in the middle, but it is towards non-metal. Calcium is definitely on the left side, which is a metal. So the correct option is 1 boron, 3 silicon, and 5 germanium, option B. The formula for aluminum chloride. Now we can create a chemical formula if you know the concept of electrovalency or just valency. Here we have aluminum, which is in the third column, which is plus 3 towards the metal side, and we have chlorine just before noble gases, which is on the non-metal side, so it's negative 1. If you cross multiply them, then you will have aluminum chloride 3 times. So AlCl3 will be the chemical formula for aluminum chloride, option B. Let's go to question 15. Number of valence electron in OH minus ion. Remember, it's not just OH, it's OH minus, so that's going to affect your answer. If you know the periodic table, oxygen has the atomic number as 8, so its electron configuration will be 2, 6. It will have 6 electrons in the outermost shell, which is coming from oxygen. Second one is hydrogen is the first element. It will have only one shell and it will have only one electron, so there is only one electron in the outermost shell. And remember, we have minus 1 charge, so that is coming from one electron, so that is also has to be considered. So altogether we will have 8 total. Remember, OH minus is actually stable state, so it's hydroxyl ion, so that's actually completed the octet state as far as electron configuration is concerned, so that will be 8 total. So correct option is option B, 8. Question number 16, the nucleus of an atom is composed mainly of, well, let's see the diagram. At the center of an atom, which is nucleus, we will have proton and neutron densely packed. There will be a lot of empty space, and then electrons will be orbiting around the nucleus, and this is how the modern model of an atom has been proposed. And so that means the nucleus, which is the center, that will have proton and neutron. So the correct option will be C. When atoms share electrons, sharing is the keyword. Remember, we have two types of bonds. One is ionic bonds, where we actually have exchange of electrons. So that means atoms actually physically lose an electron or gain an electron, thereby they actually acquire positive or negative charge, and then they are actually paired together. This kind of thing is called ionic bond. As opposed to that, here what they have been asking is sharing electron, which happens typically in case of carbon compounds. So that will be called covalent bond. Atoms and molecules, chapter 3 still going on. Question number 18. What is the value of Avogadro's number? This we have to remember. It's 6.023 into 10 raised to 23. Avogadro's number is like a huge number. So many molecules, when they are combined together, we get like 1 mole. So it's not minus 23, it's actually plus 23. So 10 raised to plus 23. Question 19, which is the significance of 1 U or 1 AME atomic mass unit? That would be, technically it is like hydrogen, but since carbon is more abundant, it is defined in terms of carbon, and carbon has actually 12, so we have to neutralize that, and we have to take 1/12 of the mass of a C12 atom. Carbon has actually two isotopes, C12 and C14, so you have to be a little bit careful. You have to take C12. Structure of the atom, which of the following is a tetraatomic molecule? Well, this is the correct answer if you know what kind of molecule I'm talking about. But as a general rule, let's talk about these prefixes. When we talk about mono, that's 1, di is 2, tri is 3, and tetra is 4. I have not shown here penta, that would be 5. So here we are talking about phosphorus molecule, which is in this particular shape. It has 4 atoms in one molecule, so that would be the correct option. Option C. Who proposed the planetary model of the atom? That will be Niels Bohr. That's the correct answer. Identify the correct symbols. Well, we want to see the gold and mercury. So let's see the periodic table of elements. Gold is actually AU, that's here, and AG is actually silver, which is directly above it. AU is actually gold, and as far as mercury is concerned, it is the next one, which is Hg. So these are the correct options. Option A. The number of electrons in an element X is 15. So electrons are 15. That means protons are also 15 because it's electrically neutral. Number of protons and number of electrons are going to be same. So that means it has, element X has 15 protons, 15 electrons, and number of neutrons is 16. Generally at the lower level, number of protons and electrons are always same in case of electrically neutral atom. In the lower case, in the lower level atoms, even neutrons are also same. So everything is same. That happens in case of lower atom. As you go higher and higher in the periodic table, slightly more number of neutrons is required to hold this so many densely packed positively charged proton, and that's why neutrons slightly increase, and this is what exactly happening. Number of neutrons is not 15, it's actually 16, but number of proton and electrons both are 15, 15. So how will we present this in terms of electrical symbol, in a molecular symbol? Normally we write the symbol here. This is not given, so let's assume that it is X. Here we'll write atomic number, which is number of protons or number of electrons, whichever way, and in the top we'll write the total number of people in the nucleus, which is proton plus electron. So here you have 2 protons, which is same as electrons, and here you have total number of people within the nucleus, which is proton plus neutron. So we can see proton electrons are 2, but neutrons are this difference. So how we can write for this case? Since protons is 15 or atomic number is 15, that will go at the bottom. So this looks okay for the timing. This looks, well, this is 16, not okay. This is okay for the timing. So we have to select between them. But now at the top we write how many people are there altogether in the nucleus, which is the total number of sum addition of proton plus neutron. So that will be 15 plus 16, that will be 31. So the correct option will be option A. Which statement does not align with the properties of an isotope? Let's see what is the meaning of isotope. Isotope are same element, but because of the differences in neutron, its atomic number is same, but atomic mass can be different. Hence, physical properties such as density can be different, and some of them will even display attributes such as radioactivity. So here isotopes are C12, C13, C14, all are corresponding to the same element, all will have same atomic number, which is 6 in case of carbon. However, this will have 6 carbon, 6 neutrons, this will have 7, this will have 8. So isobars on the other hand are totally different elements, but their atomic masses are identical. So here it will be 40 throughout. So here they are talking about isotope. So isotope are actually technically same element, just because of the differences in neutron count, they are displaying different properties. So the option B is correct because isotope consists of atom belonging to different. This is wrong. Remember, we have to select wrong option in this case. Which radioactive element? Well, we'll see differences. Iodine, we use iodized salt for the case for treatment of goiter, and uranium 234 will be fuel in the nuclear reactor. Cobalt 60 is used in treatment of cancer. So that would be the correct answer, option B. Who proposed the concept of fixed energy level? Well, that's Niels Bohr. That's the correct option. Which element does not demonstrate electrovalency? Now, those who are towards the extreme end of periodic table in terms of column wise, such as extreme metals, extreme non-metals, they will be showing the highest possibility of electrovalency. Sodium is in the first group, calcium is in the second, chlorine is in the second last, so -1. So sodium is, let's see, sodium is +1, calcium is +2, chlorine is -1. These are electrovalency. Plus indicates that they lose electrons and acquire positive charge, and minus is like they gain electrons and acquire a negative charge. As opposed to that, carbon, technically, theoretically, it can lose 4 electrons and or it can gain 4 electrons, but it doesn't happen. It rather shares electron, thereby forming covalent bonds, and that's the reason it does not demonstrate electrovalency like other things. So that will be your answer. Fundamental unit of life, let's go into biology. Amoeba acquires the food through endocytosis. Endocytosis is like gaining. Exocytosis is actually losing. So endocytosis is the correct option. Which cell organelle contains digestive enzymes that help the digestion of cellular waste? Well, we have given some explanation. If you want, you can pause this video right here and go through this explanation, but the correct answer is option D. Unripe fruits are green, but they develop vibrant colors. So some reaction, something is going to happen, and that is responsible for the correct color change. Let's see, chloroplast contain pigment chlorophyll. This is required for photosynthesis, which is like in sunlight they absorb the nutrients and convert that into food. Apart from chlorophyll, they also contain various orange and yellow pigments. Chromosome contain the necessary information for, well, chromosome is more towards the genes and DNA, and that's totally different thing. Chromoplast are color plastids, which are present only in plant cells. Chromoplasts containing the pigment chlorophyll are known as chloroplast. So the correct option will be chromoplast transformed into chloroplast. What is the function of cytoplasm in cell? That will be, let's say, location of cellular metabolism, well, and organelle support. What is the function of cell wall in plant cell? Well, a wall is typically responsible for protecting something. So the correct option will be option C, protection and structural support. Which structure is found in plant cells but not in animal cells? Well, this is tricky because chloroplast is only thing which is occurring in plant cell and not in animal cells. Who discovered the cell? Robert Hooke is the correct answer. Which type of cells lack a well-defined nucleus? Uh, uh, Eukaryotic cells versus prokaryotic cells. Prokaryotic is the correct answer. Which cell organelle is responsible for protein synthesis? That would be ribosome. Tissues. We have plant tissues versus animal tissues, and then we have further subdivision. The dead element found in the phloem tissue is the correct answer is the fiber of the phloem. Light and dark bands that will be found in striated muscle. A student observes that a tree near his house is growing more in width than height. Now, that is because there are different types of tissues. We have apical meristem that is responsible for growing into height because they normally occur at the tip of the plant. Lateral meristem should be the correct answer because that is responsible for lateral dimension, which is the sidewise dimension, that is the width. Two bones are connected with each other to another type of connective tissue. This is known as ligament. Cartilage smoothens the bone joints at joints, and bone marrow is a fat tissue. So the correct answer is ligament. Skin is the outermost layer of the body, which provides protection from mechanical injuries as well as help in secretion of sweat and oils, which of the epithelium in the skin likely composed of facilitate all the aforementioned functions. Option A is found in body parts, option such as lining of the mouth. Option B is found in skin, but that is responsible for wear and tear. Option D is found in nasal cavity, which is the hair-like projections. So the correct option will be option C. The outer covering of plants is known as epidermis. So I have given some explanation. The fluid matrix, the correct option will be only other than A, everything is solid in nature. Now, the process by which mother cell divides, well, we have meiosis and mitosis. Mitosis is the process cell divides into two new daughter cells by subdivision, and meiosis is what they have asked. Now, let's go to chapter 7, which is motion. We have got into physics now. We are in question 45. What is the term for the rate of change of displacement? Let's see quickly. The flow, we have displacement, which is the shortest distance between 2 points. Then we have velocity, and then we have acceleration. Why I have written in this particular manner? Rate of change of displacement is velocity. Rate of change of velocity is acceleration. So, rate of change of displacement, that will be velocity. Remember, all three are vectors. A car travels 30 km north and then 40 km east. Let's draw a quick diagram. North will be upward arrow according to the map. Let's say this is 30 kilometers, and then it goes towards east, which is turning right and going towards horizontally towards the right side. That is 40. And now these are two perpendicular to each other. The angle between these two travels is perfectly 90 degrees. We can use Pythagoras theorem, and we can find out the hypotenuse, which is the square root of the sum of the two squares. That would be 30 square plus 40 square added together and then taken square root. That will be 50 kilometers. If an object moves with a constant speed and that too in a straight line. So remember, displacement is a vector which has magnitude, which is responsible for speed and direction. If none of these two things are changing, well, then we can say with sufficient confidence that it has zero acceleration. Speed is responsible for change in speed is responsible for acceleration, either in terms of magnitude wise or in terms of direction wise. However, if we have speed which is changing in magnitude, that's one possibility. Or second possibility, the speed is constant but the direction is changing. Remember, it's a vector, so only magnitude can change, only direction can change, or both can change. So this can change, or this can change, or even both can change. In that case, we will be referring that as some acceleration, and we will be able to calculate that with the help of formula delta V upon delta T. Since none of these two things are changing, this will be a zero acceleration, because the magnitude, which is speed, is constant, not changing, and direction is also not changing because it is traveling in a straight line. Which of the following graphs? Oh, okay, I will draw all four graphs. A straight line in distance time graph. Now, when they say straight line, it's having some slope, some inclination, some angle. And when they say horizontal line, it's like flat line. So let's get this cleared at the step 0 itself. Straight line in distance time graph. So I have a distance time graph and I have a straight line. Then I have a straight line in velocity time graph. Then I have curved line in distance time graph, and then I have horizontal line in velocity time graph. Okay. So remember our sequence: displacement, velocity, acceleration. Rate of change of displacement is velocity, rate of change of velocity is acceleration, and there is one more property called jerk, which is the third derivative, which is used in electric motors, but that's not here. For the time being, remember only these three parameters. So now a straight line in distance time graph, straight line. So that will have constant velocity because it has some slope. This will have constant acceleration. Again, it has some slope. This will have variable velocity because now we are talking about the displacement as the starting point. Remember, s is the displacement, and velocity time is zero acceleration because it's a flat line. Velocity is not changing at all. So the correct option will be a straight line in velocity time graph that will give you uniform acceleration, because from velocity you actually generate acceleration. Let's go to chapter 8, force and laws of motion. SI unit of force is meter per second square is acceleration, meter per second in velocity, Newton is force, and millimeter is displacement or distance. So the correct option will be C, Newton. The first law of motion, well, unless acted by an external unbalanced force, the body will continue to remain at rest or remain in the present state of motion, and that is law of inertia, which is the first law of motion. That's the first option. What is the precise mathematical expression? Well, force is equal to mass times acceleration. Actually, force is equal to rate of change of momentum, and if most of the time mass is constant, so rate of change of velocity is actually acceleration. So that's how we get force is equal to mass times acceleration. That will be first option. Which of the following scenarios best illustrate Newton's first law of motion? Well, in first law of motion, either the body is continuing at its rest, or second, it will be continuing with the same state of motion because external unbalanced force is not acting on it. So a ball rolling down a hill, actually gravity is acting on it, so not a good option. A book sliding on a table coming to a stop, so originally it was sliding and then it is coming to a stop, so again not a good option. A person riding a bicycle at a steady pace, this looks promising because we will neglect the air resistance, we will neglect the friction forces, and if these external unbalanced forces are totally absent, there is a possibility that a person riding a bicycle will continue its state of motion forever with the steady pace. So that looks like a good option. A car accelerating, not a good choice because acceleration means like there is some force acting on it, and that's why its velocity is increasing. So the correct option will be option C. Which of the following is an example of Newton's third law of motion? Third law of motion, in simple word, action, reaction, equal, opposite, equal. Action, reaction, opposite, equal. Just 4 words, keywords. So we have a rocket. A rocket at the time of launch, it burns a tremendous amount of fuel, and it creates reaction. I mean, it expels that, thereby creating action force on the Earth surface. Earth surface gives a reaction force, and this is an example of action and reaction forces. Rocket launching in space will be correct option. A uniform force of 4 Newton is acting on a mass of 8 kg for a distance of 2. Let's see, kinetic energy is same as work done. We have work energy principle. Work is force times displacement. so which is 4 is the Newton force, and displacement is 2 meter, so that will be 4 times 2, that will be let's say 8, and the unit of energy or work will be joules. Which of the Newton's law states that object will remain at rest? That will be first law, law of inertia. Rate of change of momentum is proportional to, well, according to second law, rate of change of momentum is proportional to the net applied uh, external unbalanced force, so that would be uh, net force, which is option C. An object placed on a table remains at rest. Well, law of inertia, it will continue to remain unless somebody does apply force on it. So external unbalanced force, if it is not in the equation, it will just remain, and the option will be inertia, because yes, it will continue to remain there because of inertia. No unbalanced force is acting on it. Or you can have two forces which are equal and opposite, they are cancelling each other. Remember, net external unbalanced force. So you can, that doesn't mean the forces are not acting. In fact, when an object is placed on a table, it has gravity force, the weight, which is acting downwards. At the same time, the surface of that plane is exerting normal reaction. So these two are equal and opposite, they balance each other. So this is also correct option. So all of these will be correct. Action and reaction forces, they actually act on a different body. Recall the previous example. Action force is on the Earth's surface, reaction force is on the rocket which is being launched in the space. Let's go to the gravitation, the weight of the object on moon surface. This is a typical question. The values of the masses of Earth and moon and the radii of Earth and moon, they happen to be in such a way that the moon surface gravity is 1/6. Let me give the proper numerical example. G value, the small lowercase g, is 9.81 meter per second square in Earth's surface. In case of moon, it is 1.625, so which is 1/6. So that is the correct option. A ball is thrown up, the value of g. Well, g does not depend upon the velocity or the mass of the object. G depends upon mass of the Earth, radius of the Earth, and there is gravitational constant, which is uppercase G, which is universal. So if you combine all those things, you get lowercase g, and it doesn't depend upon the ball is being thrown upward, downward, direction, initial velocity. So it will remain the value of g in this case. Not only it will remain constant, the question is whether it is positive or negative. Now, the ball is thrown up, so it is going, the displacement is actually counted upward direction, but the gravitation force is downward towards the center of the Earth. So these two are opposite, so it will be value of g we have to take as negative. Newton's law of gravitation applies to, well, this is simple, but at the same time some people will get confused. It doesn't matter whether the bodies are small, large, separated by a small distance, large distance. It's a universal law. It is applicable to all bodies irrespective of their size and shapes. The gravitational force causes, well, it causes tides as well as motion of the moon. What is the gravitational force between two objects? Well, gravitational force is always attractive at all distances irrespective of the sizes, mass, and the distances. As a comparison, I can tell you electrostatic forces can be attractive or repulsive. If you have like charges, then you have repulsive forces, or if you have unlike charges, you have attractive. So in electrostatics, where we have charges because of the imbalance of electron, there we have this question more applicable. There we can have attractive or repulsive forces. Gravity, no such thing, irrespective of whatever happens, it's always attractive forces, and even the distance doesn't matter. The distance between two bodies is 3 times. Well, it is inversely proportional to the square of the distance. If the distance becomes 3 times, and the force will become 1/9. Remember, it is inversely proportional, so it will become 1/9 times. The weight of the object is, well, it depends upon the value of small g. The small g value is on Earth very strong. On moon it's 1/6. We have just seen that in the previous case. So W Earth will be greater than W moon. In fact, uh, my weight or anybody's weight on Earth will be 6 times compared to the same person's weight on moon. So greater on Earth and lesser on moon will be correct option. The upward force exerted by the liquid displaced by the body. Well, let's see the buoyant force will be the correct option. The time of ascent is projected upward. Now, it doesn't matter the time of ascent and time of descent, which is like the time it takes to go upwards versus the time it takes to go downwards. They are identical. If you neglect the air resistance and other minor factors, that would be option C. What happens to the acceleration due to gravity with increase in the altitude? Remember again, this is the law of gravity. F is equal to universal constant G, m1, m2, which is the product of two masses divided by square of the distances. When the altitude increases, the radius between two bodies increases, and actually because it is inversely proportional to the square of the distance, so the value of G, which is the combination of these two, will be reducing, because as R increases, G drastically reduces. The density of water, well, it is 1000 kilogram per meter cube. One of the differences between uppercase G, capital G and lower G. Now, capital G is a universal constant. That's value is 6.67 into 10 to minus 11. Then the fantastic units. As opposed to that lowercase g, it depends upon which planet you are talking about. On Earth, it is 9.81. On Moon, is 16, which is 1.625 meter per second square. So it depends upon location. So the primary difference between uppercase G, which is universal gravitational constant, is this remains same irrespective of the location. Lowercase g depends upon the place. In fact, even on Earth, on equator and at the poles, because of the shape of the Earth is not being perfectly spherical, the value slightly changes. Pressure is defined as thrust per unit area, so it will be thrust divided by the area. If the force and displacement are same direction, work done will be positive, because if I push something and the displacement also happens in the same direction, that means I'm doing some positive work. As opposed to that, then you will ask when they will be in opposite direction. For example, if the body is moving in one direction, the frictional force will be opposing that. So it will be the frictional force is actually doing negative work, because the frictional force and the displacement direction, they are completely opposite. And work done can be also zero if the force is zero, if the displacement is zero, or if the angle between them is perfectly 90 degrees, then the work done is zero. SI unit of power, well, see, let's see, joule is the unit of work, or you can consider as energy, because work, energy can be interchangeable. Remember, energy is the ability to do work, and work is the visible effect. Joule is the unit of work or energy. Watt is the unit of power, named in the honor of James Watt. Newton is the unit of force. Again, these are all people. These units are based on the fact that we are honoring them, their legacy, their contribution to scientific field. And kilogram is the unit of mass. If a force of 20 Newton moves an object by a distance of 5 meters, well, work is force times displacement, so it will be 100, unit will be joule. The device to measure density, odometer is actually used for distances, hygrometer is related to moisture or humidity, lactometer, I believe it is for checking the impurity in the milk, hydrometer is the correct answer, that's for the density. If the velocity of the body is doubled, its kinetic energy, well, the formula for kinetic energy will be half mv square. If velocity is doubled, it will get square, so it will become 4 times. SI unit of sound intensity is watt per meter square. Sound wave can travel. Well, sound waves actually require medium, so they cannot travel in vacuum. However, they do travel in solids, liquids, and gases, so D is the correct option. The minimum distance between source and the time by which the original wave is created and the reflected wave is perceived by the air, there must be at least 0.1 second difference. So at 20 degrees Celsius, I will say the velocity of sound is 340, approximately 340 meter per second. So that means that in order to have at least 0.1 second difference, that means we need to have 34 meter total distance traveled by the sound wave. Now remember, sound wave will travel uh, to the obstacle and reflect back, and so this 34 meters can be split into 17 plus 17. So the minimum distance required between sound source and the obstacle should be half of this, which is 17 meters. When a body vibrates, it compresses the air surrounding and form a higher density area is known as compression. We have compression and rarefaction. Uh, Here, the keyword is high density area. So this is low density area, and this is high density area. What do dolphin, bats, and this thing ultrasound is the correct option. Speed, wavelength, and frequency are related as well. Speed is how much distance you travel in 1 second. Wavelength is the distance for one wave, and then frequency is how many waves. So it's a simple multiplication. Speed will be multiplication of wavelength and frequency. Loudness and softness depend upon, well, it depends upon amplitude, how loudly I'm speaking or how small I'm speaking. Pitch of the sound is when the frequency is higher. What is the phenomenon responsible for bending of sound wave? So here the keyword is bending. That is called diffraction. It is not reflection. It is not refraction. Reflection happens in the case of mirror. Refraction happens when a light ray travels from denser medium to lighter medium or vice versa. Then it bends either towards the normal or away from the normal. That is a refraction. Interference is a special phenomena not related to this one. Audible range of sound, well, people can hear 20 hertz to 20,000 hertz, so option B is the correct option. Which of the following is a longitudinal wave? Okay. Longitudinal wave will be sound wave, because all other things are actually not longitudinal. Longitudinal wave, we have compression and rarefaction. The speed of sound is maximum. Well, in vacuum, it's not able to travel at all, so it's like dead. So this is out of question. It does require on density. It's proportional to higher density is actually beneficial. So air does have some sound velocity, but that's actually least. Water will have slightly more, and steel, being a solid, will have the largest, because the density of the steel is the largest. Chapter 12, these are the types of weeds. Pasturage is related to apiculture, I think. Let's see. We are going to see the meaning of these things in next question. The management of production of fish is called, well, let's see each option individually. Pisciculture is the correct option, or in American English, pisciculture. Then we have apiculture. Well, again, we are going to see that in next question. Mullet prawns are marine fishes. Weed affects, well, weed is actually creates a competitive environment, and it actually takes over all the resources, thereby not allowing the original plant to receive the resources. So competing for various resources, that's correct option. Scarcity of irregular distribution, well, cyclone actually can bring heavy rains, so that's not the correct option. Earthquake is the movement of tectonic plates within the surface of the earth. Tsunamis are like because of earthquakes happening at the sea, huge waves are created. So these have got nothing to do with the rains. Irregular distribution of rain will cause droughts. Which one is the oil yielding plant? Well, actually sunflower oil, which is available at the shop. Probably some of you might be using that right now also for cooking of food. So sunflower is the correct option. What is the process of growing two or more crops in a definite pattern? Well, that will be intercropping. Crop rotation is totally different. Crop rotation is like in one season you take one crop, and so it's still one crop in a season. The management of production of bees. Okay, I think here we have, okay, apiculture is related to honey, which is like bees and hives. Pisciculture or pisciculture, American English, it will be related to fish. Sericulture will be silkworms, and aquaculture will be aquatic plants. So the correct option will be option A. Nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium are examples. Well, the key word here is either micro or macro. Okay, so these are example of macronutrients. Macro are something which we require on a larger scale. Micro, which we require on a smaller scale. So I have given some examples here of micro and macro. Nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium will happen not here, here. So like nitrogen, potassium, and phosphorus. It should be phosphorus. Yeah. Town X is situated on the banks of a river. Now, this question, many people can argue this or that. According to me, the key word here is the banks is situated on the banks of a river. So it's very close. It's within the proximity of the river. So the distance is not that much. It's on the banks of the river, and that kind of is critical due to inadequate release from the reservoir of an agriculture farm. Crop failures. What kind of irrigation will be suitable? That would be introducing river lift system just because it's on the banks of the river. So this is more suitable which are in the vicinity of the river, because this particular thing requires heavy piping, heavy infrastructure, and large capital investment. So that is suitable only for a very specific scenario where the places are very close to the river. So that's all. These are the 99 questions. Please visit our YouTube channel. Please recommend your YouTube channel. If you have not done, recommend this channel to your friends. Please visit our website also, which has AI generated notes as well as homework solutions for almost all, practically all problems in the NCERT books. And this is Professor Prashant More, my credentials, in case if you are interested. And that's all for the time being. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe if you have not done to this YouTube channel. Thank you very much for being with us. Hopefully we will meet again with different resources. All the best, and free PDF link I will try to provide this. This will be having only question paper, or only 99 questions, and then 99 solutions without obviously my face and all those things. So if you want to just distribute that, please do that. Share the knowledge, help each other. Thank you very much. And that's all for the time being. Hopefully see you again. Bye. All the best.